shoes. Everything she says is truth. If you don't know, now you know. All you ever gotta say is heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that. Look, all you ever gotta say.
What's up, Heard That Nation, listening in the United States and around the world? You are listening to the Heard That with Marisa Tigney podcast. If you are watching right now on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, invite your friends over to check out all the previous episodes, especially this one with an amazing guest that I have on today. She has pretty much changed the life of every household item that I can ever think of, especially candles. She dropped entire knowledge on one of her IG lives on candles. This amazing product, which we're going to talk about, her line, By Arzo. We will talk about that in the podcast today. She is a social media influencer. She is a fashion goddess in my eyes because wherever she wears, she does not miss. Definitely, you're going to want to connect with her and follow her on Instagram and check out her product at byarzo.com. The one and only, the lovely, the talented, amazing comedian, CEO of self-care, Arzo Anwar. Welcome to the podcast, my dear.
Thank you, Marissa. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
That was a really nice intro. Thank you.
Well, it's true. I mean, every single live that you've done, and those that follow you on Instagram know that you are 100% into self-care and you promote it very well. And you do that through your products, which we will talk about momentarily. But we all have been through the craziest almost 2 years ever in 2020. And I know that you've had, busy life. You do fashion, you're a fashion influencer, those that follow you on your Instagram. And I want to ask you, how was your 2020 like when everybody basically was just put on timeout?
Yeah, I was put on timeout too.
Yeah.
We all were put on timeout. It was very, very interestingly challenging because it was very uncertain, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all were very segregated and isolated, and nobody knew what was going on, right? I mean, I guess this is supposed to go till 2023 at this point from reading the DC website, right? But it was challenging just because I'm a business owner, right? So I've been doing fashion since I was 15 years old. I've had a business here in New York City since I was 27. And, fashion is a very challenging business in and of itself. And so many things have changed it within the last 5 to 10 years, from fast fashion to social media and the way that things are kind of received by people that are purchasing it, right? So already fashion was feeling little a crumble in many different ways. I mean, from like the recession back in 2012 and 2008 to it just changing. I was also in kind of a place of uncertainty even before Corona hit. I was like, what am I going to do next? Like, what's going to be like the next thing? So as much as it was challenging, it actually gave me the opportunity to pursue a hobby of mine. Right. Something that I was doing on the side just for myself, which was making these products and apothecary for myself and for friends or whatever. So it gave me the time to sit my butt down. And because I don't know how to do that, I just started making products and started thinking, let me create a collection out of this. Right. And I think if 2020 never happened, I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to pivot. So I'm very grateful for it, actually, after all the challenges.
I just always think, and I'm a big believer of something that happens in your life, there's always a lesson in that. And I think that 2020, for many of us, there was opportunities, there was lessons learned, there was, we have to sit down, we have to pause, we have to reflect, sit in the stillness and get a sense of clarity of, what is my next move? What am I supposed to do? What now? Once we go through the phases of anger that we can't travel and upset that all of our plans got canceled. And while I'm sitting here in this house, pretty much bored, what can I do? And I'm a big believer in vision boards and writing down visions and doing that sort of thing. So with you and your products and your fashions, who are your inspirations that got you interested in, having your business, like you said, at 15, and then starting this wonderful, amazing brand, By Arzo?
So fashion, my inspiration was watching the Style Network on CNN. That was always my inspiration. It was, watching the supermodels of the 90s walk down the runways with these beautiful clothes. I guess my initial inspiration is my mom and kind of my culture. We're very, we like to adorn ourselves. We're very feminine. Dressing up and going out and going to parties and showing up as your best self is a part of the culture, right? So that was always just kind of a part of me. And then fashion, I was always just very interested in. Like I loved watching the supermodels walk down the runways, but I loved the clothes more than the supermodels, right? And I always wanted to move to New York. So like even in my yearbook, my senior yearbook quote was, "I'm standing on top of the world because I have style." Right. So it was something that I've wanted to do since I was 9. I told my parents I'm moving to New York when I was 9 years old. There was 2 things I wanted to do. I wanted to either be a fashion designer or I wanted to become a teacher. Those are the 2. As a kid, you're like, "What do I?"
I can see you doing both.
Yeah. And I feel like it could, now that I'm getting older, I feel like it's I've grown into that. I've grown into whether it's the mentorship or being someone of influence that, can be set a good example, or, like even the girls that I worked with in my showroom that have all worked for me in the 15 years that I had my fashion showroom business. They all, really look up to me, and they feel that I really was a really great influence in their lives. They're always like, "Yeah, we went to Arzo boot camp, and we know how to handle certain things because of you." There's a couple of girls. There's one girl that's a music artist now. She's actually signed to Murder Inc. She just had a song with Ja Rule, and she was my intern at 16 years old.
Wow.
So I guess wanting to do that, and then being a boss and having my own company, I was able to be a teacher too in some ways, right? So fashion was my thing, and I started working retail. I started moving into management, buying, and then while I was going to college in California, and then just after 2 years, I saved up money and was like, "I'm moving to New York, and I'm going to finish college there." And nobody thought I'd make it. And I, in some ways, when I first got here too, I hated it. First 6 months, I hated New York. I'm like, "What's the charm of this place? This place stinks,"
Right.
But after the 6 months, it was like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. So I feel like I've manifested this since I was a kid.
I think that's amazing that you took a bet on yourself, that you took a chance on yourself, and you spoke that to in existence at a young age of what you're going to do. And that's exactly what I do too. You just speak your vision and say that even though people look at you crazy and go, "Okay, that's cute. You're 9. You're going to move to New York. Okay." But you know what? You are an example of someone that is living out what you already put into the universe. You already said that you were going to do something like that. So if people are watching on YouTube right now, they're saying, "Where have I seen her face before? She looks familiar." It's because she was on a show called Blood, Sweat, and Heels. And I got to give you a compliment, Arzo. I just can't believe how long ago that show was, because you haven't aged at all, which I think
Really?
is,
Oh my God.
You have not. You have not.
I mean, do you get better as I age though? I feel like I even looked older back then, like in my 30s, than I do now in my 40s. So thank you. That means a lot. I know the show was 7 years ago. It was on Bravo TV. We were basically the opposite of the housewives. We were the business owners, right? That were single or dating or whatever. And it was a docu-series, as they call it, reality show, right? That really, I think, had such an awesome format to it. And hopefully they'll kind of spin it back around, because I feel like women need, not everyone has that housewife life, right? I mean, not everyone has a husband that's taking care of them, that they don't do anything and they're always arguing. Like, some of us are actually really putting in blood, sweat, and tears into our lives, right? Trying to make it. And I don't know, life has changed. Not everyone's getting married in their 20s these days, right?
Right. Exactly. And I mean, it's changed a lot from the standard of, okay, I go through childhood and then my teen years and then possibly go to college and then fall in love and get married and have a family. It's shifted so much throughout because of the opportunities of to start your own business or, be part of corporate America or, just the beautiful thing that people got to realize too is that every single person is creative. It's what you're going to do with your creativity and how you're going to, manifest it and make it happen. And with you, this amazing, amazing venture that you are on with By Arzo. I absolutely love this product. Please tell everyone how you started in the first place with By Arzo, because by the end of this program, people are going to want to follow you on Instagram. They're going to connect with you on your products because I just think for the first time in a long time, this is a product that gets the person, that gets the consumer, especially your bombs, which we will dive into in a moment of why I'm obsessed. Shout out to Kathy for gifting me this. But how did By Arzo get started?
It got started obviously during quarantine. That was my pivot to brand, a hobby of mine. But I started it because I'm obsessed with self-care, obviously, and scents. I've been such a scent girl. I mean, I guess that's my culture too. We love perfumes and scents and smelling good. So I was tired of spending like $500 on perfumes and spending $200 on a candle and, just kind of exerting myself in being a consumer in some ways, right? So I was like, and because I come from a business background that I thought, I can do it myself. So of course, University of YouTube, I taught myself how to make candles. I work in an industry where I can resource a lot of things. So I found a great company in the Middle East that, makes oils, and with a lot of trials and tribulations, I just started doing it at home so I could save money on candles and also to make my own perfume scents into candles, which you can't find out there, right? Yeah. So taking like the high-end perfumes of Tom Ford, Le Labo, Killian, and being able to take the perfumes and turn them into candles. And I don't know, I messed up a lot. I think the first batch of candles I made, you couldn't even smell, right? But I have a best friend of mine, I call him my gay husband. He was like, keep going, Arzo, keep going. So maybe about a year or two before quarantine, I was just doing this on the side at home for myself. And the Christmas before quarantine, my best friend I've known since second grade is a pharmaceutical sales rep. And we were just on the phone. And I was telling her, I was like, yeah, girl, I've been making these candles. She goes, I want to try them. I love candles. She owns homes and she's always, staging her homes while she like buys homes and sells them. So she's staging her homes with things. She's like, send them to me. I want to use them for my picture. So I sent them. She goes, I love this. And I literally had numbers 1, 2, and 3 made at that time. And her favorite was number 3. So long story short, during the holidays, she goes, I want to gift all of my doctors that I work with these candles. And she did. And this was, quarantine happened March. This was in December. And everybody loved it. It was like 50 candles she ordered from me. And I was like,
oh, wow.
I should keep making sense, right?
Yeah.
So quarantine happened. I just started making sense. And of course, the way we met was through Club Quarantine, right? So Club Quarantine was the music in the background while I was in my kitchen. Because I'm a busybody. I always like something to do. And having my own business, there's so much to do all the time that when I got stuck in my house, I wasn't leaving the house, going into a showroom, going into an office. I was just stuck here. So I had to create work for myself here. Right. And also a way to make money. Fashion, my fashion business, I did wholesale. So it's, and PR and marketing and all of that. And it's all based on the stores. It's all based on the world being open, right? So brick and mortar was closed. My stores aren't taking in merchandise. Those commissions aren't coming in. How am I going to pay my bills, right? I mean, yeah, we all have like a little bit of a nest egg, but that goes quick sometimes too. And nobody wants to dip into that, So I was making these sense, and I just started thinking like, let me start branding it, because I feel one of my biggest specialties is branding. I'm a brand builder. I've done that with designers that were in my showroom. I did it with a brand that I had 2 business partners with, like a fashion brand, back in like 2009. So, making this apothecary, you know, starting out with the oils, turning them into candles. That was the 2 things I had, was oils and candles. And you know, when I got to number 8, we were like in the middle of quarantine. So it was like,
yes,
April,
number 8.
right? I got up to like number 8, and the concept of it being mixed in with numerology, I actually just started numbering them in terms of scents at first, right? So I was like, let me just put number 1 on this. This was my first scent. I made the second one, but I also am a very, very kind of mystical moon and stars kind of person. I've been very I've been in wonder of like astrology and numerology like my whole life. And I've read all the books. I am very, very into it, right? So then I was like, wait a second, let me start blending the scents and creating like a life path, like a power number a set of scents, and mixing numerology back with the scents and making the stuff with intention. And that's really what made it all vibe and come out, was making the product with intention. And every time you burned it, there was like a magical energy that came out of it.
Right.
You know, anybody that, and for me, I was like, oh my God, my friends are just being nice, but they weren't. They were actually really liking the product.
And so the support is there. Like when I first, like you said, we connected on Club Quarantine. Shout out to DJ D Nice for bringing all of us together during a very difficult time through the power of music. And jumping on your IG for the first time before I ordered my first candle, again, number 8, all day, every day. It is amazing that with your products, Arzo, it's not just the candles, not just the balms, the sprays, and so forth, which, you are so good at not only putting out this product, but you're good at explaining that candles aren't just candles. And I didn't know that because I had talked to you on your live, and I thought that, candles are good. They smell up the house and everything else. I did not know that there is toxicity or toxic scents that come out of a candle, because I said to you, and I think that you were the only one that I talked to, and I said that the candles that I formerly had versus the candles that I owned that from you, I used to have headaches, and just I couldn't understand. I'm like, oh my gosh, it smells like peach vanilla in here. Why in the world do I have this headache? And then I would have to diffuse the candle, and then I ordered one of yours, had it here, and not only does the scent last throughout after you burn it for several hours, but it's clean.
Yeah, there's no soot. Like, you burn it next to a wall, you won't have that black stuff,
Yeah.
And there's different ways of making candles. You can make it with coconut wax, you can make it with paraffin. Ours are all natural. They're 100% soy. And the oils that I use, they're not chemical-based oils either. So the oils that I use, 98% of them can also be used on the body. So not only can you make candles out of them, you can also use them on the body. So you can make soaps out of them, you can make oils out of them, lotions, which not a lot of candle manufacturers, you can't do that. You can only make a candle.
Right.
And that's kind of why I did the tagline, is producing light as you burn, right? Because if you look back in history and from the beginning of time, everyone burned something. You burn something to pull the bad energy out. You burn something to create a vibe in you. You burn something for light, right? So producing light as you burn was what made me want to keep going with the brand, right? So when I started mixing the numerology with it, like, it was all, every day was a new thing. Every day I'd come up with something new, with the music being the background of my life, right? And still kind of, I was by myself. I have 2 dogs. I'm not married. I don't have any children, right? My boyfriend lives in LA. He was with me, or my boyfriend at the time, was with me for maybe the first 6 weeks. And then I was by myself the rest of quarantine. He had to go back to LA, right? So it was a very interesting time. I felt very lonely, but I also felt like I wasn't lonely because I was so busy doing something, and I felt like that was keeping me occupied. And then the music was also like, keeping me going. I've known Derek for a very long time, for like 20 years here in New York. So it just took me back to my party days, right? But I was working and creating something at the same time. And I feel like music also helps with creativity, because I feel creativity is the circle of life. If you don't find your creative juices inside of you, I feel like there's something that you're missing as a human. Life is all about creating, no matter what you're creating, whether you're cooking, you're baking, you're making something, you're coming up with a concept, you're creating a better system for yourself, organization. Right. Creating can be anything. It's not just about drawing and like making stuff. Like, you can create new systems as to the way that you live your life, right? You create new habits. That's creating as well too, right? Right. So I feel that I've always been a creative. Like when I was a kid, I feel like that's changed too with the kids these days. Like we had to find things for ourselves to
do. Yes. All the time.
I feel like I'm still the same person I was. I've of course evolved. I'm older, I'm experienced. But that little girl that used to sit in her room and take the mannequin heads and brush them and do braids and have a little sewing machine and try to make like bags out of my old denim jeans, right? That little girl came out in me when I was by myself. Because I feel like when you're a kid, you're kind of by yourself too, creating, right? And figuring out stuff. So I don't know, I had to hone into that little girl and bring her out, but then use my expertise in my business to brand it. And I think everyone can create something, but I guess the advantage I had was my business background, right? Being able to brand something and to make it be sensible and understanding to the consumer, where they're like, oh wow, like if you could see my product hanging in like a Neiman Marcus, you can see it in a department store. It's not that I'm just selling products, right, just to make money. I actually have an actual brand. And my inspiration, I guess, was a company like Le Labo, because when you go into their stores, they have that old school apothecary feel. And they're expensive as hell, right? But everything's natural and they blend everything in there. So their oils, when you're buying their perfume, they blend it in there. And
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, when you go in and you create a scent or you want a scent, they blend it for you before they package it for you. And they print things right out. They label it for you in front of you. And I love that. I love that whole like old school apothecary where you can go in and they can, I don't know, crush up some herbs for you and put it all together. That kind of stuff is very cool for me. And I've always been interested in, like, even when I went to Peru, I was always interested in the alchemists, right? So I guess this is my journey into becoming that. And I have such a keen sense of smell, I mean, with this nose or whatever. So it's always just been something that comes kind of second nature to me, and I was able to take it and turn it into a business.
I think what's so beautiful of your gift of smell is that you've not only evolved it into just candles, but you expanded it into sprays and this beloved balm. I messaged Arzo the other night, and again, shout out to Kathy, because when I meet her, hopefully on one of these CQ lives, CQ is going on the road at 3 different cities. So hopefully I can meet as many amazing people as I can that I met through Club Quarantine. Arzo had sent me Sunny Eucalyptus Peppermint. And I said to her the other night, because I really, really, really hate putting on smelly medicines, everything, because I'm always on my feet. I work in a restaurant, and then, working at a theater, and then also doing service through a food pantry. And so I'm in a warehouse type setting and going into a restaurant and then going into a kitchen. I'm on my feet. I try to wear comfortable shoes. I go to chiropractic care and everything else. And sometimes they're just sore, especially the back of my calves. And she had gifted me this. And first of all, shout out to your packaging, by the way. I opened it up and I'm like, okay, she got rose petals in here. She got this smell good candle in here. I'm about to set this all up and everything else. The husband's like, what did you get? I'm like, I got a candle. And then 20 minutes later, it starts to smell, and the husband walks in the room. Okay. And then But this balm right here, I tried it recently for the first time. And Arzo, I got to tell you, it is spot on in alleviating any kind of soreness and pain. I don't know how in the world you had, just worked it.
It doesn't have a medicine-y smell.
No,
so
and that's what I was going to say too. Yes.
It's like a multitasking healing balm, right?
Yes.
And again, you guys know I make everything by hand, right? So this was like, I traveled after a really long time, right? After quarantine, where the world had kind of opened up a little bit. And I went to LA and I went to my friend's birthday and I wore heels for the first time after like 13 months or something.
And those that are not watching, yes, I am putting it on right now while she's talking about it.
It feels so good. I keep it on my nightstand, but I went to LA. I'm at my friend's party. I was in heels, expensive designer heels for about 10 to 12 hours. Mm-hmm. My feet were throbbing and barking. Like they had a heartbeat. You know, when your feet hurt and they have a heartbeat?
Yes.
I was like, oh my God. So I'm sitting there and, this is me because I'm a creative. Everything inspires me that happens to me. So if something happens, I'm like, God, my feet hurt. I'm like, I need to come up with something that actually like helps foot pain because I come from a generation where like the Asper cream and stuff, your parents made you put Tiger Balm and Asper cream on them, but then you smelled like it all day long and you smelled like medicine. Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm home by myself, I'll put that on my feet and put some socks on and go to bed, right?
Right.
But when you're traveling and you're in a hotel and you're with people, that smell stays on you. And I was like, I need to make like a good smelling cream that you could use for pain relief, just like even just to put on to go to bed with. So that's what inspired me. I came back, I did my little research on how balms and salves are made and, and what works and what doesn't work. And this ended up being a multitasking kind of balm, not even just for pain relief. You can use it for flyaways. You can use it on your eyebrows. You can use it as lip gloss. It's totally safe, right? Mm-hmm. You can use it as moisturizing because you see that it's a little oily when you put it on, but it dries up and like
very much so quickly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I use it for my hands. I use it on my feet. You can use it on mosquito bites, right? Like bug repellent or whatever. And it smells amazing.
It does. There's no stickiness afterwards. Where you put on some of the balms and you're just like, okay. And then you got to go and dry your hands. This does not. Once you put it on, yes. And the scent is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's not overpowering.
Right. Because it's got the peppermint in there, but then it's also got the sunny, which is the lemon noir, which is like a lemon sugar to kind of balance it out a little bit. Because I'm all about combos of and blends of.
Number 7. I have that one too. That is in my kitchen, Sunny Noir.
7. Yeah, yes. So it's got that 7 scent in there a little bit, but with a little bit of the number 6 and a little bit of something else in there. And then the healing properties, but it's everything that is natural. There's nothing that's chemical in there. There's no medicine in it. It's everything you can actually find in your pantry that's all kind of blended together. But it works for all of these different things.
And it's so amazing.
I love it.
It's so amazing how, like I said, and that's why I said you get it, because of the fact that who wants to go around and smell like Asper cream all day? Who wants to go and smell like, some of these things that are supposed to, heal, tighten muscles and, your soreness of your feet and everything else. But you don't want to smell like, you worked like 2 hours out of the gym and, you got all this, Asper cream and everything else on and not knocking on Asper cream. But, it's just like, okay, I want to smell good when I go out. After I shower, some of that stuff still lingers, even if you put it on. And so with this right here, it's sinking. It just, I think that I thought of too, like it softens the skin.
Yeah.
For being
it's moisturizing.
Yes, very much so.
It's got almond oil, coconut oil, apricot kernel oil. Like it's got all of the things that actually work really well with your skin too and rejuvenate your skin too.
Okay, I gotta ask you because like I said, you're doggone ageless and you take care of yourself. And like I said, self-care. So what is an Arzo self-care day like? Like what is your routine, your skincare routine? your beauty regimens that you do during the day and then at nighttime. I'm taking notes, by the way, because I mean, like I said,
I'm simple.
Yes.
I'm simple. I found what's worked for me, right? Which is really cleaning your face. You remember we did a segment on my By Arzo page where I had this woman that I bought product from, facial stuff from, that taught me how to clean my face. So I don't use water. I actually use micellar water. I don't know how to even
the micellar water. Yeah.
Cellular water. I use that. I sometimes maybe might use a toner, but I use that. So I use like a cream cleanser and then I wipe it off with like an actual pad. So I don't use water because water has a lot of crap in it. It's dirty. Well, tap water isn't clean. I mean, yeah, they say, oh, yay, New York tap water has all this fluoride, it's great for your teeth. I still don't believe it, right? I think you should always use, if you are going to use water, try to use purified water. But I think there's toxins in the water because even water is not good for your hair either, right? So I feel like that has really made a difference. And I guess I learned it maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even like 6 years ago. I think I met her while I was on the Bravo show, and she taught me how to clean my face. And I clean my face every morning and every night, and I moisturize and I put my, little eye cream on because, now that I'm getting older, we get little crow's feet and stuff. And I do gua sha. I do this thing with a gua sha stone, and it is basically, a lot of people, there's different gua shas. So there's the jade roller that you see people do.
Yeah.
There's also an actual stone that's kind of carved into a specific way. And you basically tighten your face by kind of just massaging your face with the stone.
Okay.
And there's a particular way that you do it. And I have to tell you that it really softens up any kind of fine lines on your face. So I do that at nighttime. I might do it in the daytime sometimes too, because what it does is it builds collagen as you're like moving your face, right? Because a lot of people didn't realize that your face has to be kind of massaged. Like back in the 80s and 90s, this is a whole new thing. Like now they have these facial places called face gym. You go and get like an aggressive gua sha done. But that's how you keep your face. It's an old ancient Japanese, Chinese secret, right? To gua sha your face. But I've seen a huge difference, like especially these little laugh lines and stuff. Like when you gua sha, it actually like builds collagen and you wake up with a little bit more of a fresher face. It helps nicely. I know we haven't done it on the By Arzo page. We haven't spoken about, or the By Arzo live. We haven't spoken about gua sha, but that's one of my little secrets is gua sha. I use gua sha. Now you have great skin too. You have amazing skin. Like your skin is beautiful and ageless. Like you have like 25-year-old skin, I think my skin's even worse than yours, but I like the sun a little bit. So I go out in the sun, I don't try to do too much of it, but I need that little bit of sun, and I know it's not good, but I've gotten into the habit of using, what's it called? Sunscreen.
Yeah.
Word. I can't think of that word.
Right.
Sunscreen I think is important in the daytime, but don't use it at night. Some people might have like moisturizer that has sunscreen in it, but don't use it at night. That's one thing that they do tell you.
Right.
Retinol, anything that has a little retinol in it. But I used to spend a shitload of money on all these expensive, products that came out, like your Lancome would come out with like a $200 moisturizer, but all the chemicals. They really do have chemicals. I love La Mer and I love La Prairie, right? Those are the two high-end facial. I don't have La Mer money like that.
Yeah.
And I do, but I don't want to spend it like that, right? Like I'm not spending $500 on a jar of cream, but there are alternatives. Like there is a brand called The Ordinary that I found.
Yes, The Ordinary. Yes, that is my serum. Yes, I do.
They're made in Paris. Their serum that they have one serum that's like the La Mer serum. And
yes, it is.
$18.
Yep.
It costs $18, and
that's it.
Reason, that's been working very well for me. I got an eye cream from them. I got like a retinol serum from them. Hyaluronic acid is very important for us.
Very much so. I use
I
that
use
as
a lot
well.
of serums. I don't use a lot of creams anymore. I'm kind of light with it. But the gua sha stone, I feel has really helped with fine lines because I smile a lot, right? I smile, I frown, I'm very like expressive. That's definitely helped. So anybody that wants a little bit more like life in their skin, gua sha stone. I recommend a gua sha stone.
Gua sha stone, and shout out to The Ordinary, because yes, my
The
niece got me
Ordinary is
hooked
such
on that.
a great line.
It's an amazing line. It's an amazing line. My niece got me hooked on that because she's an MUA. Shout out to my niece Kiera.
Oh, okay.
And she had recommended that to me, that I could use one during the day and then the one with zinc at night.
Yes.
And I tell you what, just a world of difference, because I didn't realize, I'm like, serums, what are that? I like wash my face and then put the moisturizer on and go on with my day. And I didn't realize through time, as your skin ages, some of the beauty regimens that I did, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, I don't have teenage skin anymore. I'm almost 50. I need to switch up my moisturizer.
Wow, your skin is beautiful for 50.
Thank you.
And you've never had Botox or anything like that, right?
No.
Yeah, gorgeous. Your neck is beautiful. That's, because that's what it's all about. It's kind of like, when they tell you to dry brush to move, like circulate, your lymph nodes, it's basically circulating the lymph nodes in your face.
Yeah.
So it helps with sinuses. I really think that it, you got to kind of work out your face a little bit. And The Ordinary, you can get 4 or 5 products for less than $100.
Yes. And they're good. And they're absolutely good. They're not fancy packaging. They're just, black and white box, and it's clean.
Products. Yeah.
Yes. And that's what I like, clean products. And I think through your IG lives, you really emphasize that with your items, your balms, your candles, your sprays and everything else. So with the exciting news that you have with one of the CQ lives, you are going to do a pop-up shop. I think you had talked a little bit about it on your last IG live. For those that are going to New York for CQ live, Arzo will be there doing a pop-up. So go out there and support your girl. So why a pop-up? What's going to be involved? When can they go see you? Where's it going to be?
So we were thinking of doing something in person for everyone to meet. I mean, I'm an e-commerce business, right? So people that have ordered stuff from me do it off of descriptions online. There's nowhere that they can come and smell everything, right? And because the CQ thing was going on, the world is open right now, right? It's the summertime. A lot of people were going to be in town. It's also a week before Fashion Week, because Fashion Week is happening again this year, which didn't happen, right? So there's people kind of around. I just thought that we should do an event. So it's really kind of it's like a mingler, right? Like it's kind of a speakeasy that I'm doing it at. So it's a bar with past hors d'oeuvres and drinks and, photo booth and fun stuff. But we're going to have a pop-up shop. So, the ladies that are my customers that are in town, and, we'll have editors from magazines there. It was just a way for me to be able to get more brand recognition, and also have like a little meetup for all of us as well.
I love it. And I'm hoping still somehow that I can get out there, if not for CQ Live, to definitely support you, because your brand.
To New York?
No, I'm going to the LA one so far. Okay. Yeah, the LA one is what I'm going to so far. I'm so happy for D-Nice, Derek, and for everybody involved that all 3 of his shows so far are sold out. That's absolutely amazing. And those that are going, everybody please stay safe, mask up, social distancing. We're not out of the woods here yet as far as this, but I just love the connections that have been made on your page through Club Quarantine. Just so many people that has shown you love for what your product is. I mean, you're funny as heck. You have made me laugh so many times during CQ. I'm like, is this girl a comedian? And this is before I even knew that you did all of this. I'm like, okay, is this girl a comedian? I'm going to have to scope her page out, because she is absolutely hilarious. But I just learned so much from you when it comes to self-care and everything. And before.
And I do it no fuss. I do want to put that in there. It's a very no fuss kind of self-care, because I feel sometimes people are always putting so much emphasis on, and also with the numerology too, it's a very kind of simple, no fuss way of understanding it, right? Like there's messages and numbers. You don't have to make it complicated. You have to kind of just tell people to be aware.
Yeah.
There's messages thrown at us all the time, right? And then also with self-care, we have to take care of ourselves.
We have to. Thank you.
Preserve yourself, but you just do a little a day. I always talk about, I like to work out, right? I don't make it into this huge chore. I just do it every day. It's just a part of brushing my teeth, having my coffee, to sweat, to get my heart rate up, right? And then it doesn't become this huge chore, but you also see the results, because these fast diets, like I know some people are doing the CQ live, and you see people posting and they're all on these like crazy diets trying to get their bodies together within a month or two. It has to be a lifestyle, especially at our age, right? Like I mean, it's that's the self-care that I talk about, is doing little bits a day and creating a habit for yourself. It's not the self-care where you got to be bougie. I mean, we say we're bougie and all of that because we like nice things, right? But it's not this like materialistic, over the top, you got to be, he had a schedule, he had a ritual every day, and I watched him, and it's not like he was a muscular like man or whatever, but he was healthy inside and he felt good. And it's a way to clear your head. So my self-care, my bouginess, my way of like mixing astrology with things that are made with intention, with the luxury sense, it's very no fuss. Yeah. Very no fuss. And everyone can do it. I want it to be like relatable for all audiences. I don't want it to be this whole thing where it's like not reachable, And
it is so important. And I like that you make it a simple thing. There isn't no quick 5 steps into, drop in these pounds, or, a quick 20 steps on to, clearing your mind. It is a simple thing, do something that you love. Take a walk around the block, go and, I know a couple of CQ family members that are into, one of them, I think she's into kickboxing and everything else, because that's what she always wanted to do, fell in love with it and everything else. You have to do something that you love, that's going to, make you happy on the inside, that's not forced, that's not, because you need to, lose whatever pounds you have to in a quick amount of time, but do something that is going to, make your endorphins happy, make your heart happy, make your mental happy.
And helping people learn where to start, because I think this is called home training, right? So a lot of self-care is home training. It's what your mom taught you. I mean, there's a whole thing on the internet right now talking about how people shower, how these celebrities shower, right? Have you been hearing that?
Why is that a whole conversation about that? I'm just like, okay, I understand TMI, but this is TMI extreme. I really don't need to hear about if you bathe or not.
It was a conversation that Ashton Kutcher and his wife,
Mila Kunis,
Mila, right? So they were talking about their kids, and then they went into talking about how they don't bathe their kids every day, right? And then they started talking about how they don't really use soap every day. They just put the water over them. And then it turned into all these other celebrities. And I feel like it's a cultural thing too. Certain cultures have different ways of bathing, right? Like we're scrubbed down to our skin being red in my culture, right? If you take multiple showers a day, if you're sweating and you're hot, like especially in the summertime, I'm such a kind of person, obviously, with everything I do. I take a shower before I go to the gym and after I go to the gym, because it's like I want to be clean there, and then you want to come out of it. So I think some people just don't know like where to start, and the home training has a lot to do with it. So if you haven't had the home training, I always say like little things, drink more water. If that's one thing that you can do today. If there's one extra thing you can do that's not an extra chore, just drink a little bit more water.
I agree.
If you're not feeling good, just go for a little walk, because once you go for that little walk, you might want to speed up the walk. then you might want to jog a little bit, right? Because it feels good. And don't consider it a chore. Think of it as something you need to do for yourself, like brushing your teeth, like eating, like all of those things. And also discipline. Discipline never hurts.
You got to. Yeah, oh my gosh, Arzo, that's such a big gem right there, because people have to realize that you are the only you got.
Yeah. Because what you said when we first started this conversation about like manifesting and speaking it, right? When you speak it, you have to convince yourself first, right? Like when you're speaking stuff into existence and manifesting, you have to convince yourself first.
Agreed,
and then you have to match it with the energy of the universe, and for it to make like that explosion for it to happen. It's the same thing with convincing yourself, like, this isn't a chore. This is more like my routine of the day and discipline. Like, I mean, everybody needs a routine in order to be successful. If you don't have a routine in your life daily, you're usually not a successful person.
Exactly.
If you don't get up and do, like, I'm a creature of habit. I kind of say too, I'm like, oh, I'm really easy to figure out. I'm a cheap ass date, right? Because I don't need a lot of stuff. Like, I like certain particular things, but I don't need all that stuff because I've lived. I can do it for myself, right? And for me, it's more the connection, the energy, the spirit, right? Yeah, maybe some good food. I am a foodie and stuff, but it's about, having that structure in your life. If you don't have structure in your life, you don't do some of the similar things every single day and have that discipline to do it, you're not going to be successful. But those disciplinary things are self-care.
Right.
They're the things you have to do for yourself in order to have the world accept you, right? Take you in, because you love yourself. So then the world's like, ooh, we love you too.
Yeah.
It's very noticeable when somebody doesn't care for themselves. And it's kind of a turnoff, right? Because you're like, well, if you don't care about yourself, why am I caring about you?
You're right.
It starts within. So I think just like having, even with dogs, in order to have a healthy dog, they need a routine. They need consistency.
Yeah.
But all mammals do. We need the same things every day. And to hone in some of those really, really good habits.
Yes.
And you can be a successful person.
That is so true. And it doesn't, and here's the thing too, that people need to realize, it's not the outside conditions either. It could be somebody that's dressed up in a 3-piece suit that don't take care of themselves. You know what I mean? I mean, it could be their mental, they don't take care of their heart, their physical body needing,
it's not the adornments that make you successful.
Yes.
It's the stuff within.
In here,
because what it does is it helps you glow and put out a light. Right? You're able to smile quicker. You're able to get up and move quicker, right? Like my biggest thing is stay prepared so you don't have to get prepared, right? Like I always make sure that I'm prepared, whether it's like, my physical, whether it's my mental, whether it's somebody just showing up at my house and my house is clean, right? Like my friends are always like, your house is so clean. Like you can't even tell I make candles in here, right? But that's my own little OCD or whatever. But you want to make sure that you're always planned out a little bit. But in order to do that, you just got to do the same things every single day and have good habits.
Yes.
Everything else takes off from there. And those things are free to do. Those
exactly.
Things are free because you're doing them for yourself, right? And if you have a family, you're trying to attract the right mate. Let's say you have a family, you have to give the best to yourself to them, right? Like yourself, you're married, you have children, right? But if you're trying to attract a partner, you're not going to attract the right partner if you don't take care of yourself.
The law of attraction.
I'm not talking about, being pretty or a bad bitch or anything. I'm just talking about like, it's kind of like going into a car dealership. The first thing that attracts you to a car is its physical, right?
Right.
But the thing that makes you want to buy it is sitting in it and seeing the engine and how it rides. And I feel like that's how it is with relationships too, right? Or attracting the right things into your life. It might be, you should look good on the outside, but that's not what's going to keep it. It's what comes from the inside and how you feel about yourself. I'm not saying I feel great about myself all the time. I'm very hard on myself. But I know if I keep consistent, I do my routines every single day, I feel accomplished that day. And that makes me feel good about me.
That's so good. Ooh, Arzo, you done dropped a whole bunch of gems up in there. And I hope that everybody just caught that, because that is on the 100% fact. Last question.
Isn't the money in your bank account. Success is happiness.
Yeah. Yes. Last question before I get you out of here. Where do you see By Arzo going within the next 2 years?
I feel it growing tremendously as soon as this world can kind of let up on us a little bit. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm a direct to consumer brand right now. I do sell 3 spas that I do wholesale with. So I definitely want to, grow my wholesale business. I do see myself doing pop-up shops throughout the country. Like I feel that I wanted to do something in LA since that was the first CQ event and everyone was going to be there and a lot of my customers are there. But I needed to do it in my hometown, right? Like where I live first. So I did New York. I want to see how that goes. I see By Arzo as, the sought after go-to self-care product. I see us being in the best stores. And I see it growing into more products, like more products that can help people. Like that balm, it helps people so much. Like how you feel about it is how everyone feels about it.
Yes.
And I feel that, of course, since I'm a self-care kind of product, the holidays are going to be big. So I'm hoping the next 4 months are, going to be as big as the last year that I've had. So
can we add to your resume author? Because I feel, and this is just me speaking, and I'm sure once everybody listens or watches this or both, that they will concur. You have a world of knowledge that people need to hear, not just from a business point of view, but also from a personal point of view that they can relate to, because of what you do on your IG Live is you not only talk about your products, you give the history of it, which the teacher part of you does come in. If you not realize that, you are a teacher because you do the work, you do the research on everything that you talk about, and then going in and introducing your products and the whys and how you came to the sense that you create.
And my experience.
Yes, the experience.
A lot of it is what I've faced.
Yes.
So it's real. And that's the part that I always want to throw out is the realness. And the author thing, everyone's told me that. I mean,
well, you need to get some kind of going on, sister, because we're going to expect an Arzo Anwar book, a table read, something, because it needs to happen. I would definitely buy it. I will ask you to autograph it. We're speaking it into existence right now on this show. So
I like that. That. I have a lot of history. I mean, I'm not even from this country, so there's a lot of first generation story. And, like I was talking to my talent manager the other day. And, I said, there's the fight in me, right? I'm first generation. So I think the thing that leads me into the situations I get into or takes me out of things and helps me pivot is my fight in me. Right. And it could go, the fight is like this rush that comes in me, but then it can also be like a fight, like an anger fight too, right? It's finding the balance between it, right? And growing, because the anger thing could be when you're younger, but when you mature, you use that fight to just keep punching down like your goals. So yeah, there's a lot there. There really is.
It's so good.
I my older brother all the time because I feel like he's a great person to write, but people have always told me to write a book or something. So
well, you got definitely a lot of people that are out there waiting for that to happen and for your product to grow. And I'm excited for where it's going to go and what you're doing with it. And you're having a lot of these teachable moments on your self-care live. So I want people to connect with you. So how can they follow you? Where are you at on social media?
All my social media handles are Arzo Anwar, my first and last name. So IG, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find. Nobody really has the name Arzo. There's just a couple of people out there with that name. So
and she has some amazing product that everybody needs to check out at byarzo.com, BYARZO.com. Z as in zebra, not C, y'all. Z as in zebra. Make sure you spell her name right. Arzo's product is absolutely amazing. Like I said, she is a person that has experienced so much, and you learn a lot from her. And I have learned a lot from you. And it was such an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to have you on this podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. You're so sweet.
Thank you.
Sweet. And I hope your platform grows too, because you're someone that needs to get noticed. Definitely. The way you speak, there's so many different layers in you as well, and you have a lot to share with the world too. So I guess that's why we vibe, right?
Yes, we do. I receive that. I'm taking it. I receive it.
And I'm receiving the author thing. I'm going to put that in my manifestation book as well.
Yes, get to writing, girlfriend. Thank you so much, Arzo. And thank you for everybody tuning in. As I always end the show, take care, stay safe. We out of here.
Produce light as you burn. Bye, Marissa.